What's up, heroes? My name is Clone, and welcome to Snowfall Studios. Every day's different. This is actually the demo of this new 2D visual novel. It's currently in the process of being kickstarted. I'll leave the link to the Kickstarter in the description down below. But it's a novel that tackles the hardships of finding your place in the world, building meaningful relationships and friendships, and how your choices can affect the lives of those around you. So every day can be different. Not really sure what we're getting into here, but let's go ahead and get started here. I'm really curious. So what is your first name? Just Siler, not Siler Clone. If it's the last name, it's always Clone. Already, this is kind of striking me as like Doki Doki Literature Club-esque, at least with the text screen here. Really kind of like that, but we'll see what we're getting into. I let out a sigh as I drop onto my bed and wipe the sweat from my brow. Finally done unpacking. I'm wiped out. Unpacking and packing is very difficult. Moving's hard. I know that firsthand experience. I peer around my bedroom, letting my gaze settle on the sunset peeking out from the other side of the window. Tomorrow I'll start at my new school, but it's going to be so awkward. Transferring halfway through the school year? The other students will probably assume the worst of me. What if they think I'm some kind of delinquent? Or worse yet, a vegan? That escalated quickly. I realize I'm probably overreacting, but I'm still mourning the loss of the friends I grew up with. At this pivotal point in our lives where each of us is starting to seriously consider our futures, reconnecting with them seems impossible. We'll slowly drift apart until we can barely remember each other's faces.
Dinner's ready!
Yes, Mom, coming. I mean, the whole we're gonna drift apart thing is going to happen, but sounds like a move's gonna make it worse. I like our little apartment. It's tiny. I step into the dining room right as my nose is assaulted by the tempting scent of a homemade meal. I'm oddly surprised when my stomach gives a long, loud growl. Well, not really, but okay.
Someone's worked up an appetite.
Mom, you look a little worn out. Has this move been rough on you too? Well, I've been unpacking all day. Now that I think about it, I got so into it that I forgot to eat lunch earlier.
If only you had the same work ethic in your schoolwork.
Now is not the time for this discussion. Ouch, Mom. That hurts. A lot. While I take my seat at the dining table, the two of us share a laugh. Unfortunately, we settle into an awkward silence soon after. The only sounds that fill the room are the scraping of utensils against plates and the occasional gulp of water. When I reach out to help myself to second servings, Mom and I accidentally make eye contact. I quickly try to look away, but she speaks up.
I'm sorry, hon. I know the divorce hasn't been easy on you, but things will get better eventually, I promise.
Yeah, I know. It's not like I blame you or anything. If this is anyone's fault, it's that I manage to stop myself before I make the mood any worse than it is. Instead, I stuff another bite of food into my mouth. Smart man. Have I ever mentioned how much I love your cooking? In fact, I think this is the best meal you've ever made. Mom gives a hearty but audible fake laugh. Thankfully, we make it through the rest of the meal without delving back into any undesirable topics. Like our deadbeat dad. After cleaning off my plate, I start to head into the hallway, but I pause when I hear my mom speak up.
Are you calling it a night?
I don't know. I might double check that I didn't forget to unpack anything first.
Well, you must be pretty tired after all that work. You should leave it for the weekend.
Aren't you always complaining about things getting dusty and smelly when they're left in boxes?
Trust me, that isn't something you want me to be proven right about.
So, are you saying I should unpack them now or put them off until the weekend? I'm confused. I'm getting mixed signals here, Mom.
I'm I'm just concerned that you're overdoing it. Tomorrow is your first day at your new school and you spent the whole day unpacking. If you go in with black circles under your eyes, you won't be popular.
Have you seen my face, Mom? Even with black circles, I'm going to be the most popular kid in school. Mom, that's kind of a creepy thing to say.
Hey, like it or not, you're an adult now, and you still haven't had a girlfriend. You don't want to be alone forever, do you?
Now that comment really hurts. I don't really want to talk about this with you. I awkwardly head back to my room, silently praying I could forget this dinner ever happened. The exhaustion from the day begins to set in. It doesn't take long before I plop down on the bed, my eyelids drifting shut. For as tired as I feel, the anxiety keeps my brain working full time. It seemingly takes hours before I finally manage to fall asleep. You know, all the excitement of the day, you got school tomorrow. That's one annoying ass alarm clock. Thank goodness it doesn't continue. I groggily awaken to my alarm clock blaring in my ear. With an annoyed grunt, I flip onto my side and smack the off button. Still the same time, though. However, I nearly scream when I catch a glimpse of the time. Apparently, I forgot to adjust the alarm yesterday, because I barely have any time to get ready for school. Bag in hand, I rush out the door. As soon as I have it locked, I attempt to fix my tie, but it's pretty difficult to do with one hand. I jog towards the sidewalk, praying I won't be late for my first day at my new school. When I turn around the bend... Yep, that's what happens when you turn around the bend really quick.
Ow!
Hello? I'm so sorry. I was in a rush, but I should have been paying attention.
No, it's okay. I understand.
You're oddly forgiving. My knees ache from the weird position I fall in, but I stand up with a groan and dust myself off. Are you gonna help the lady up? Come on. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
This feels weird without having a girl yell at me. Help the girl stand up. Give the girl some space. Help the girl stand up. This is our first decision. It's gotta be an important one. Help her up. I offer the girl my hand, which is when I notice that she seems to be wearing a uniform for the same academy. Oops. Oh, are you a student at... The moment her small, delicate hand rests atop mine, our eyes meet, and something clicks in my brain. We exchange surprised expressions as she hops onto her feet. I don't even remember how many years it's been since we last met, but I instantly recognize that face. Her small yet plump lips and large blue eyes that perpetually shimmer with an innocent curiosity. Yes, there's no one it could be except my dear friend Yoko Teramoto.
Is that you?
In the flesh. Yoko, it's been ages.
Wow. I can't believe it's honestly you. What a coincidence running into you here.
I know, it's like we're in a visual novel and we've been drawn to actually run into each other. Funny thing, fate, isn't it?
And is that an Akushin Academy uniform you're wearing?
Oh, this old thing. It is? I'm a new transfer. Starting today, actually.
No way! In that case, why don't we go to school together? We can catch up while we walk.
I like this idea. You would be doing me a favor. With my luck, I'd get lost along the way on my own. Yoko chuckles softly as she takes a step forward, beckoning for me to follow her. I cheerily oblige her.
I take it that you live in this area?
Yeah, at the house we just passed to be exact.
Oh my goodness. I guess we're neighbors again then. I live to your right.
My shoulders relax as I take in Yoko's voice, replaying her softly spoken words in my mind. Just the day before, I'd been so worried about making friends, but it seems that my fears have already been assuaged. It almost feels like there's a higher power looking after me, like the developer, maybe, and the writers, and Siler, and other things.
Let's see. We're in the middle of the year, so you must have had a good...
The brunette's face swiftly twists with regret as she catches herself treading into potentially painful territory. Although it's too late, I genuinely appreciate her consideration.
The weather sure is nice today, huh? What a great start to the new semester!
No, I want to know what you were going to ask now. If you were just going to try to rip off the Band-Aid, don't just start and decide to put it back down. Well, it sure is, now that I've run into you. It never even crossed my mind that I might run into somebody I already know.
Now that you've run into me, really?
I mean, quite literally, yes.
I mean, look at the time! Class will be starting soon, so we had better hurry if we don't want to be late.
You're blushing, why? Yoko and I banter while she guides me down streets, pointing out any places of interest when we pass them. I try to memorize everything as best I can, but between my brain being half asleep and the fact we're practically jogging, it's difficult. Nearly 10 minutes later, we arrive at Okashin Academy. It's a nice little park, though. The main building is surprisingly well taken care of, despite supposedly being one of the oldest schools in the area. The shrubs and grass are even trimmed to perfection.
Do you know which class you're in yet?
I nearly jump out of my skin when Yoko speaks up, my mind returning to the present. Oh, yeah, Class 2B. I can just ask for directions at the office, though. I don't want to trouble you any more than I already have.
Oh, no way!
The brunette's face lights up with a mixture of excitement and shock.
Guess what?
Chicken butt?
We're in the same class.
That was going to be my next guess. I'm glad to be with you, Yoko. Can you show me where it is? You know what? I'm glad. You know, at this point, now we have a friend. Then I'll make more friends because she has friends, and I'll be introduced to her friends who are probably just as cute as she is. I'm glad to be with you, Yoko. That is not the reaction I was expecting. All of a sudden, the girl's cheeks and ears turn red, and she nearly trips over her own feet. When I reach out to catch her, however, she jumps and backs away from me. Are you okay?
Yes, of course. I just felt lightheaded out of nowhere. That's all.
You're a brunette, but you're acting like a blonde. Do they have a nurse's office here? Should I ask someone to bring you there?
No, I mean, yes, there is one, but no, I feel fine now. I promise.
What kind of questions am I asking? Oh, okay. That's good then. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't still worried about Yoko. However, I don't want to make her feel any worse by irritating her, so I don't say anything more. Yoko leads me through the large doors of the main building and into the lobby. We haven't even made it inside yet, and we're already making her embarrassed and flushed and feeling all sorts of things. When we enter the classroom with the 2B plaque hanging above it, she immediately walks towards one of the seats near the windows. I instinctively follow her, standing next to her desk, but then realize I don't know who already sits where. I end up awkwardly craning my neck around the room, only to find myself face to face with an unfamiliar girl. I mean, that's probably more than half the school's population, but...
This guy's hilarious. Pretty cute too, actually. Here, boyfriend Yoko?
What happened to you? You're deformed, and why is my nose bleeding?
Yuika! Personal space. You're clearly making him uncomfortable.
No, what gives that away? Is it the blood trickling down my nose? The girl giggles as she backs up against a nearby desk and perches herself atop it, crossing one leg over the other. Meanwhile, Yoko's face is turning bright red.
Sorry. I just never took you as a showy kind of girl. I was so surprised, you know?
It looks like one of your buttons is about to burst here, Yuika.
I can't believe our sweet little Yoko is finally becoming a real woman.
Someone want to fill me in here? I feel very lost and very confused.
You have the wrong idea. This is...
Oh, I like that we still see her
Funny,
at the bottom.
I could have sworn I saw you giving him bedroom eyes.
Was she? I gotta think about this. Was she moving on? Because that's what you're doing right now. While Yoko stutters and fumbles on her words, Yuika leans closer to me with a mischievous giggle.
Well, what do you think, mister? Does she like you?
I don't want to answer this question. It's not nice to tease people. No, I'm the goody two-shoes.
Right! Besides, whatever relationship he and I have is
Before Yoko can finish her sentence, the classroom door shuts with a bang. A stern-looking woman with black hair walks up to the front of the class and sets her bag next to the large desk. Well, that's gotten everyone's attention, even Yuika's. All of the other students stop talking and take seats at their desks, leaving me to stand alone like the sole remaining tree in a foresting operation. I nervously glance around until the teacher's eyes meet mine.
You're the new student, I take it? Come up here and stand in front of the board.
Why are you talking to me with that tone of voice? I'm very uncomfortable. First Yuika, now you. The exasperated tone in the woman's voice doesn't exactly inspire any confidence in me, but I nonetheless sidle over.
Good morning, everyone. Today, we're welcoming a new addition to Class 2B.
Hello, Class 2B. I'm Sila. What can I do for you?
Let's all be patient with him while he learns the ropes, shall we?
Who? What? The majority of the students nod their heads or give some form of acknowledgement, although a few seem to be off in their own little worlds. Can I go join them in their own little worlds? This is incredibly uncomfortable.
Now then, why don't you tell us something about yourself?
The arts are definitely my forte. I'd like to think I'm well versed in all kinds of literature. I was a bit of a hotshot at my old school. I have a need for speed. Tokyo Drift. I wonder if you know how they live in Tokyo. Aren't I in Japan, though? That seems wrong to say. Well, the arts are definitely my forte. Not the kind of art I was thinking right away, but we're going to move on with it. I really enjoy working on art projects. Lately, I've been into photography and have really started to get into it. It's not like I'm a professional or anything, but I do sometimes take pictures on my cell phone. Well, okay, it's a bit of a fib, but I don't want my first impression to make me seem like some sort of dork. I'm nailing that. Perfect. 10 out of 10. I'm not a dork. They don't think that at all. I only pray that this won't come back to bite me later.
With that done,
It's going to.
why don't you take the desk next to, Miss Teramoto? You do already seem familiar with one another.
Alright. I drop onto the chair next to Yoko's. She shoots me a meek, adorable smile, and I can't help but return it.
I suppose our neighbor is here too. Let's look out for one another this year, okay?
Yes, just don't let me go back up there or anywhere near the teacher. She's weird. Of course. Thank you, Yoko. My first class of the day goes well. It's nothing to write home about, and it's a little embarrassing, but I also realize things could be much worse. Whenever I need a push in the right direction, I turn to Yoko, who always jumps in to help me. Before I know it, the bell rings and everyone is packing their books into their bags.
Hey, why don't you come to my club for lunch? I can introduce you to everyone while we eat.
If you tell me it's a literature club, I'm gonna start getting a little afraid. Sure. Thanks for the invitation. The brunette smiles as she stands up, offering me her hand and pulling me up. She steps towards the doorway, so I rush next to her and we match her pace. Oh, what is your club actually?
Good question. It's just a study club, nothing special.
What do you study?
Basically, it's a place for students to focus on learning and improving their class scores.
Okay, I will gladly take that over a literature club.
We sometimes hold study circles, but more often than that, we use our club time to get ahead on our assignments. You really can't go wrong with a study club.
She's not wrong. It does sound perfect for me. I'm not sure that I'll stick with the study club forever, but I can't see the harm in tagging along with Yoko today. I follow her down the hallway, and am led up the stairs and all the way to the top floor. We walk to the very end of the hallway, where a ray of bright sunlight highlights the dust floating through the air. I have to stifle a cough just from trying to breathe normally. Why is the top floor so dusty? Why isn't the janitor up here cleaning?
Oh, I'm so sorry. The school is usually quite clean, but I guess the janitor likes to skimp out on this corner of the building. I should have warned you beforehand.
I need to learn to stop asking questions before they answer them. No, I'm fine. It's not your fault to begin with. Yoko's delicate features twist with doubt, but she eventually nods and reaches for the doorknob. I'm thankful she does so in time for me to inconspicuously stifle another cough. It's an interesting little room. I find myself in a surprisingly small room. In fact, it seems like it might have been used as an office at some point in the past. A number of bookshelves crammed from end to end with various textbooks and desks topped with random objects line the walls. In the very center of the room, there's a modest table with 5 seats around its edges.
Make yourself comfortable anywhere. It's warmest by the windows, though.
Okay, well, what time of year is it? So do I need to know to sit by the windows? Is it winter where it's cold, or is it... I don't know. Ah, alright. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm sure everyone else will be glad to see a fresh face for once.
I would ask who else is a member, but I don't really know anyone else yet. Yoko gives me a slight frown as she pulls out a chair and seats herself, placing her belongings upon the table. Don't laugh at my joke, it was bad.
Don't worry. You'll get to know everyone before you know it. You will make plenty of friends.
I give an awkward smile while I sit across from her. Thanks for the encouragement, Yoko. I'm sure you're right. You usually are.
Oh, do you honestly believe so?
I mean, you've been right so far today. I do. Ever since I've known you, you've always been perceptive.
Thank you. I'm flattered.
It's you. Before we can continue the conversation, the door swings open, nearly crashing into the wall. 2 newly familiar feminine faces enter the room. Okay, one of them's new, the other one is familiar.
Well, what do we have here? Bringing your boyfriend everywhere you go now, Yoko?
Yes?
He isn't my boyfriend, Yuika.
The question is on that one. Not yet?
Same difference. You two seem pretty damn close.
You jealous.
It's not like I mind or anything, though. Not at all. I think the new boy is adorable, and I'm happy to finally have a boy toy in our little club.
I suddenly like the study club now. Yuika hops next to me in an instant, her nose stopping only inches from my own. My face instantly begins to heat up, and I scramble to back away from her. But my chair stubbornly refuses to slide across the tiled surface of the floor. Smart chair.
Yuika!
To each of our surprises, the girl whose name I don't know stomps straight up to her friend and tugs her backward by the collar, grimacing all the while.
Don't do anything that'll encourage him to stay. I don't want our private space to be invaded by some guy.
Well, excuse me, princess.
What if he's a pervert? What if he's only following you around because he wants you-know-what from you, Yoko?
I'm sure Yuiko wouldn't mind. I jolt up, my gaze meeting the redhead's. Her eyes are ablaze with hatred for me, even though I'm positive we've never even spoken before. Sorry to intrude. Are you crazy? Remain silent. I'm just gonna kind of be like, somebody help me here, even though we're all thinking, are you crazy? I'm so shocked that I decide not to say anything. Rather, I don't know what I can say. After a good minute of silence, I hear a chair scrape against the floor across from me. Yoko stands up and straightens out her shoulders, almost as if she's trying to appear taller. Despite her usual gentle demeanor, she practically glares at the other girl.
Katsuki, he's my friend, and I want him to eat with us today. As far as I can recall, there is no rule against allowing potential new club members to sit in on a meeting.
Yeah.
So what? Who cares about the rules? This has always been a safe space for just us girls, and I don't want it to be stolen away from us.
Has it been a safe space for just girls because no boys have joined just yet? Maybe it's a safe space for everybody. In my safe space. Yuiko reaches out and places a hand on Katsuki's shoulder, causing her to turn around in surprise.
If you want to stare at boobs all day, transfer to an all-girls school already. You're being kind of an ass right now, you know? It ain't a good look.
Is this talking to me or Katsuki? I almost called her Natsuki. A look of shame spreads across Katsuki's face, her shoulders drooping ever so slightly.
I just...
Out with it. The girl reluctantly turns to me.
I'll drop it for today. I might have taken that a bit far.
Yeah, you did. You have purple hair. Before anyone can say another word, the club room door opens once more. A timid-looking girl appears, bewildered by the scene laid out in front of her.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't mean to interrupt anything.
It's nothing important. Come on in, Haru.
Yuika quickly pushes Haru over to the chair next to Yoko, forcing her to sit down. When our eyes meet from across the table, we exchange awkward smiles.
You're the transfer student, right? It's nice to meet you. I'm Haru Takano.
Thank you. Someone that I meet here today is actually somewhat normal outside of Yoko. Someone else is normal and gives me a good greeting. Hello, Haru. That's right, I'm... Katsuki slams her bag onto the table and plops down next to me with a frown. Or I'm just gonna keep getting interrupted by Katsuki.
She knows who you are. Please don't make us sit through another of your awful self-introductions.
You're in my class. I'm only trying to be polite.
Lighten up, Suki. All those ugly expressions are gonna ruin your pretty face.
That pet name is great.
I told you not to call me that, didn't I?
That's why she's calling you it. Despite her words, Katsuki seems to lose the will to yell at me any further, her cheeks becoming red enough to match her hair color as she gazes towards the floor. I let out a sigh of relief. Thank goodness, and that the tsundere has left me alone. The five of us settle into relative silence as we each dig out our lunches and begin eating away. Despite the earlier discourse, I find myself enjoying the meal. I can't remember how long it's been since I last shared a meal with someone besides my own mother. After a few minutes, however, Haru scoots her chair away from the table and packs her barely eaten lunch back into her bag.
See you later, Haru.
Sure.
She walks out the door without another word, leaving the room with a somewhat awkward atmosphere. Is she okay? She didn't really eat. Shouldn't someone check up on her?
Haru always does that, but we're not exactly sure why. We've asked her about it before, but she always seems to dodge the topic.
It's fine, right? A girl's allowed to have a few secrets. If Haru's on a diet, it's not our place to judge her for it.
Why is she on one, though?
Yuika's right. Keep your nose out of others' businesses, new boy.
Shut up, Suki. I'm only worried about her.
Sure you are. I'm not stupid. I know how guys' minds work.
Are you sure about that?
Katsuki, please. Let's just get through this meal peacefully. He clearly doesn't have any ill intentions. If you honestly have a problem with this arrangement, you and I can discuss it after school, alright?
Fine. It's gonna be one long talk, though.
All of a sudden, Yuika leans her lips against my ear, sending a shiver down my spine. Why are you this close to me all the time?
Oh, don't worry about Suki. She'll warm up to you in no time.
Like you've warmed up to me? Right. I hope so. The rest of our lunch period passes peacefully, thankfully. Yoko begins to give me pointers for the day's remaining classes. Yuika and, shockingly enough, Katsuki sometimes chime in with a tip of two of their own. Before long, the four of us head back downstairs to the classroom together. Although the girls return to their usual seats, I realize some of the students from the first class aren't here anymore. Now there are a number of faces I don't recognize from this morning.
You poor dear. You look so confused. Allow me to explain.
Please do.
Because not everyone takes the exact same classes, some students need to switch classrooms for the second half of the day.
Oh, that makes sense. I should have seen that coming. Maybe I need to go back to school. Not happening.
Well, you know how it is, don't you? It wouldn't quite make sense to have those focusing on studying science learning English when there are more relevant classes being taught elsewhere.
You make a fair point. That does make sense. Thanks, Yoko.
Of course. If you really want to, you can also switch seats for this period. But only if you really want to.
Are you trying to get rid of me, or are you just being polite? Oh. In that case... I peer around the classroom, taking stock of the empty seats. There are actually quite a few openings. Continue sitting beside Yoko, sit beside Yuika, sit beside Katsuki, or take the empty corner and be the cool kid in the background of most teenage high school movies and sit with my arms folded staring out the window thinking of what cool haberdashery I'm going to get into for the day. But I'm going to continue to sit next to Yoko, because she's the only one I like so far. I quickly reclaim my seat from earlier. A cheek-to-cheek grin overtakes Yoko's face as she practically skips to her chair.
I guess we're still neighbors, huh?
Of course. I like this seat. It's got my imprint in it already. It's nice and warm still. I return her cheerfulness with a smile. I guess so.
If you need help with anything, just tell me. I know it must be overwhelming as it is, learning where everything in the academy is and meeting new people.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, Yoko. I mean, if I'm going to be sitting here all day, there's not all too much to learn today, at least in terms of finding my way around the school.
Of course.
I set my bag on the ground and dig out my textbooks. Around the room, the other students do the same. Before long, the teacher walks into the room, and the little bits of chatter die off. A minute later, the violet-haired girl I met at the study club earlier, Haru, bashfully opens the door. The teacher is visibly disappointed, but lets her off with a warning when she apologizes profusely. Once Haru is seated, the lesson begins, but it's difficult for me to keep up with the rest of the class. I nearly jump when I feel a tap on my shoulder. It's Yuika, isn't it?
Is there something you don't understand? I don't mean to distract you, but you look awfully confused.
No, that's just my default expression. To be completely honest with you, when they taught us the basics last semester, it was right around the time I had to help my mother pack, so...
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to hear that.
No, it's fine. People move all the time, right?
Yes, I suppose they do, but...
Anyway, which part are you having trouble with? I'm sure I can explain it to you. This one. I understand the basics of English grammar, but the whole comma business really boggles my mind sometimes. You and me both, brother. Let's eat. Grandma? Seriously, I don't get it.
Oh, I see. It may seem complicated at first, but it's honestly quite simple.
No, it's not. English is hard.
See? When one person is directly addressing another in written format, their name should be preceded by a comma. Without it, it may look like the person is being spoken about indirectly, you know? Also, if the name isn't followed by a full stop, such as a period or exclamation mark, there should be another comma after the name.
Oh, so when they say let's eat grandma, they mean... I get it. I get it now. Wow, Yoko, you're really good at English, aren't you?
I actually studied in the United States for a year. I like to think it helped.
I had no idea. That must have been an amazing experience.
It truly was. Not to mention that it was quite interesting, witnessing how they train in swimming in North America.
It's something, ain't it? Their swimming techniques, huh? That's an odd thing to notice.
Oh, maybe, but I honestly love it. It's my favorite sport.
Writing this down in my notebook of things to remember.
Yoko, that's enough chit-chat from you two. It's fine if you're discussing your studies, but there's no room for banter in this classroom.
Yes, Mr. Arakawa, sir.
I'm sorry, sir.
Me too. Yoko and I exchange awkward smiles before silently turning back to our textbooks. We'll do this again later, I promise. Class finishes up without a hitch. The lessons certainly aren't the most exciting things in the world, but I remain awake and alert all throughout them. The rest of the school day passes in a blur. Before I know it, I'm packing my bag and heading towards the door. To the study club! As I step into the hallway, I hear the pitter-patter of light footsteps behind me. Suddenly, Yoko pops up beside me, giving me a bright smile.
Hi! Would you like to walk home together?
Yes.
I mean, if you don't want to, that's fine, but we are going the same way.
It's almost as if we live like right next door to each other. Of course I do, Yoko. It'd be kinda silly if one of us was awkwardly trailing a foot or two behind the other the whole way, wouldn't it?
Oh, yes. That's a good point. Silly me.
You would have done that, wouldn't you? She would have done it. Totally would have done it. Let me know if you think she would have done it in the comments down below. The two of us leave the building, walking side by side. We slip past the bustling sea of students and onto the main street.
So, how was your first day at Akushin Academy?
Honestly, it went a lot better than I expected. I was fully expecting it to be a complete disaster. I mean, that Katsuki girl seems to dislike me, but, you know, aside from that, it's been pretty good.
Katsuki certainly takes some time to warm up to people. I have no doubt that you two will get along soon, though.
Well, she's a tsundere. Of course she takes some getting used to. Thanks for the reassurance. When you say it, I really believe it.
Well, if you speak like that, I'll feel guilty if things don't work out.
Sorry. I just mean that you've always been reliable. In fact, I might trust you more than myself. The brunette dashes a few steps ahead of me and giggles, although she sounds nervous.
Oh, you know, I am so happy that you moved here. Being around you like this brings back so many wonderful memories. Life was so much more simpler as children.
Well, you're right about that. I wouldn't mind if time rewound.
Truthfully, me neither.
The rest of the walk home, Yoko and I reminisce about a time long since past. We remember the good, the bad, and the hilarious. Right up until we say goodbye in front of my house, all of my troubles disappear into the void of my mind. With a sigh, I drop my bag near the door and head straight into the kitchen. Goodbye, Yoko. Mom, I'm home. I wait for a reply, but the place remains silent, aside from the sounds of my own movements. It feels lonely, but I brush it off. I walk over to the fridge and find a note stuck there with a magnet. See, sorry, hon, I have to work late tonight. Dinner's in the fridge. At least she left me food. Note to self, don't read things on the screen, wait for it to show up at the bottom. I take a peek inside and pull out the Tupperware, popping it open to check the contents. Curry, huh? Not bad. Did she make rice with this too? Knowing how things always go, I don't wait up for her. I eat supper, study, mess around for a few hours, and then go to bed. I highly suspect that this will become my usual routine. Just as I'm about to fall asleep, I hear my phone vibrating from my nightstand. Who could be texting me this late? My money is on Yoko. Yep. It certainly is. This is interesting. We'll see how this texting thing plays out. Hey, it is. I'm surprised you still have my number. Yo, of course. I hope your first day wasn't too overwhelming. It's so refreshing to have classes with you again. I think she likes us. I know. It was just like the old days. Yoko has been a huge help in getting me settled in here, and I really appreciate everything. But I'd also like to get to know some of the other girls. Ask for the other girls' numbers. Thanks for everything. Okay, rule number 1. You ask a girl for her number, or she asks you for your number. Don't ask another girl for another girl's number. That ends poorly. Thank you for everything. Thanks for really going out of your way to help me today. I would have been so lost without you. No problem at all. I really hope you continue to have lunch with us at the clubhouse. Club room? I'd love to. It definitely beats eating alone. And she's giving us the numbers anyways. Interesting. Before I head to bed, I think about texting another one of the girls. Well, let's see. Well, she gave me the smiley emoji. Now, here's the thing. I think what I would do is I wouldn't text any of them because I just got their number from someone else. Have the conversation and talk about, hey, you know, Yoko gave me your number. Was it alright if I text you from time to time? We're gonna go that way and we're just gonna go bad. Nah, it's late and I should get some rest. I'm sure I'll see them again tomorrow. Maybe. I put my phone away and finally close my eyes again. Today was a little nerve-wracking, but I'm excited for what the rest of the year holds. Well, that was short, sweet, and to the point. That's actually a lot of fun. I was not expecting it to be that short. But it is a demo after all, so I shouldn't be all too surprised with it. My thoughts right now, having just played it for the last few minutes or so, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's got a lot of promise to it. And I think that cell phone feature, just from what I was reading about it on their Kickstarter page, that cell phone feature is going to be an interesting thing. I like the girl types. It was really kind of hard to see what kind of trope they had him in, except for Katsuki. That was definitely a telltale sign of that's a tsundere. She has the red hair and everything, but I think she's going to probably be one of the more interesting characters. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm certainly love to hear what your thoughts are. Again, I'm going to leave the link to the Kickstarter page in the description down below, so feel free to check them out. Snowfall Studios, it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing, and I'm hoping they get this project started. But as always, if you did enjoy the video, let me know by hitting that like button down below or leaving a comment. It really does help me out. If you're new to the channel, or have not done so already, Make sure to unleash your power by hitting that subscribe button down below today as well, and I will see all you heroes in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. May the Force be with you, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.